Okay, so we're going to talk about some of the behaviors that have been going on when we were kids and what's been going on. The acting out started out when we were little, which is an indication that there's some abuse issues coming up. That's why there was originally a report. There was a report made when we were kids about some things that were going on. We're not going into great detail at all. We're sharing some of the experiences we had when kids start acting out and they show warning signs or stress-related issues. One of the issues for me was eczema. I started getting stressed out at home. I started feeling like I could not go to school because I was not feeling good. And a lot of us who have problems at home, it might come out in rashes, it might come out in bumps. And I had an infection in my arm, and a lot of times it was finally I got to the bottom of what was going on with the skin rashes. It was folliculitis, and I had to go to a dermatologist, and I got to the bottom of some of the things that were going on, also with thyroid and adrenal gland. And one of the things is when you have medical issues that seem to pile up, a lot of times what happened is we didn't get a second opinion, and we got a second opinion, and we got to the bottom of that. Now, it's something going on with the solar lights and some other things that went on in our house about the belongings. One of the issues is my belongings are not their belongings. It's not their issue. It's my issue. My issue is that there are people making decisions without even consulting me or discussing it with me. And as somebody who's been a stylist and worked, as a stylist assistant, I have been around people that have LGBT issues and are LGBT, so this is not arguing whether somebody is LGBT or coming out in the closet. A lot of us grew up and had issues, and there's no getting around the facts. There are things that kids do, and there are some things that we're going to talk about. Like, we did play tent when we were little. We did play games when we were little, and sometimes what happens as kids is parents need to sit down and talk to their kids about, especially when they're like 10, 11, and 12. And that's one of the things is that when you have kids that are growing up and they're starting to experiment with things, it's time to have that talk about coming into that change of life. And one of the most awkward talks is with a parent that doesn't know how to discuss it properly. The topic really is about you're going to be becoming a woman, or in this case, sometimes men. Young boys are becoming men, so they're going to start growing chest hair and their facial hair and learning to shave for the first time. That was what was going on with some of us at 15. We didn't have that talk. We were learning, and kids are learning over time that as, like, we're talking about like 9, 10, 11-year-olds, as they get older, they start to notice that they're developing and they're going to have to wear bras at some point, or training bras. It's an awkward discussion to have. It's a discussion that needs to be had. It's appropriate to talk about this because there are people that are going to ask questions. It's healthy to talk about sex in a healthy context because there are people that are going to ask legitimate questions about what it is to grow up and go through that change of life thing that is going on. A lot of people have behavior issues, not because of anything they did either. A lot of times kids are just acting out because that's simply what they're doing now. When an older man has a relationship with children, it has to be appropriate, period. It doesn't matter who he is. If he is older and he's approaching one of the girls or somebody's approaching somebody, they need to do it in a proper way. That's why I'm going to talk about why it is that we've had issues with dating. The reason why is because someone was sexually abusing some of us in a relationship, in dating. And let me say this, if someone's going on a date, it's better to have a talk right here on our front porch, right here in our yard, about some of the issues we have with our animals and some of the things that are going on at home. Because I'll be honest with you, some of the issues, we're just touching the surface. Again, trapping somebody in a bad situation is a bad idea, first off. Secondly, if they can't have a sit-down talk and have a legitimate conversation, this conversation's not going to go very far. They're going to sit down and have a talk. Any sexual abuse going on in someone's apartment or room, to start at the table and have a real heart-to-heart talk about dating, about responsibility. Because let me be honest with you, if somebody is caught doing something they're not supposed to be doing, we're going to have another conversation with somebody, and it's not going to be me this time, it'll be law enforcement.